Hey guys and girls, my name is Alan and welcome to the first episode of a potential new series I'll be bringing to AcornVision. Now, the show is going to be called Let's Chat, and the idea is it's going to be sort of like a discussion program sort of thing. So, I'll have a topic and I'll talk about it, give my opinions, that sort of thing, and nothing too serious. Just like I said, a casual conversation. Me expressing my thoughts on a subject, and then maybe bringing in some guests. And by guests, I mean my friends. Just to get their input and just have a bit of a back and forth conversation sort of thing. So trying to keep it casual, but maybe talking about topics that might be a little bit serious, but mostly, like I said, not too serious. So I'll be talking about things like current affairs and topics around gaming because obviously, as a gamer, that's what I'm interested in. And so for the first episode, I'm going to be talking about a topic that has recently been in the news. Well, wouldn't say it was massive news, but enough that it caught my attention on the BBC website. And basically, last week a paper was published, and this paper said that there was a link between violent people and that coming from them playing violent video games. Now, it's I don't know. Whenever I see these papers or articles reporting on these papers, it always makes me feel a bit like I'm a gamer, so I know firsthand how I feel personally, and to have something like this saying, "Oh, well, gaming's essentially bad for you," or "Gaming's going to make you, do violent things in the future," that I don't know. That just doesn't seem right to me. So anyway, BBC published their article saying that this paper had been published and this link had been found or confirmed or whatever. And at the time, I was gonna make a video, but I didn't quite get around to it because I don't know, I was doing other things. But then I watched a video on GameSpot, and they've got a show on there called Reality Check, which is sort of a sciencey gaming show sort of thing. They'll talk about technology and various other things. You might already know it. And basically, the host Lucy James, she did quite a long video on the topic and the very topic that I was reading about on this BBC article. I will link the article and the reality check show in the description. So if you're interested in watching and reading those for yourself, then by all means check out the link in the description. So I should probably give you the basics of what this story is all about. So the American Psychological Association, they commissioned a task force to review studies and papers that have been published before in the past. So nothing recent. This is all stuff that's been released already. And they were tasked with going through all this stuff, all this material, and then write up a report, the report that they published, to see if there was a link between violent video games and people being violent themselves, being aggressive. And so immediately this is a bit of an iffy thing because they didn't do any new research. They haven't gone away and carried out their own tests and what have you. They're only saying what they're saying based on what other people have said in the past. So that immediately to me doesn't seem that great. But I mean I don't know what research they used. They could have used some really good research. But the point is they didn't do any of their own research. They just read other people's research, combined it all together, and then published their paper. This process of researching is called meta-analysis. So yeah, they basically took all the data from other people's studies and then they put it together, analyzed it, and then came out with their own output. So that's called meta-analysis. I should probably mention that I haven't read the paper that was published. I've only read what like the sites like the BBC and GameSpot have published themselves, which is obviously not as anywhere detailed as the paper, but just gives us like the summary version, if you will, and that's all I'm basing my discussions and opinions on. So you don't say that I've read the paper because I haven't read the paper. So I might be chatting out my backside, but I'm only going on what I've seen so far from these other publications. The topic of gaming and violence has been around for a long time. It's nothing new. For as long as there have been violent games, people have been saying, "Oh, that's bad for you," or "It's bad for kids," rather. But I don't know. Like, there's a lot of violent things in life. There's a lot of violent movies. There's people who sing songs or rap songs, if you will, with really violent lyrics. And yet for some reason gaming gets this sort of attention. And why is that? Well, I suppose films and music have their fair share of dirty looks as well, but gaming just seems to attract the most attention. Is gaming something that people can see more of, therefore they can judge it a bit more, if you know what I'm saying? Um, like parents may not know what music their kids listen to, or parents might not always watch the same films that their kids watch, but they will, often see their kids playing games for hours at a time, and probably hear them raging at that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that child is then going to grow up to be violent. I mean, games have age ratings, and we all know if you're a gamer that grew up with video games, playing video games from a young age, the chances are you would have played a game that you weren't supposed to play, or at least you were deemed underage for that particular game. I know I played a lot of games that I wasn't old enough to buy when I was younger, but I think I've turned out all right. But I mean, I can get angry just like any other person, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm angry because I played violent video games when I was younger. Well, at least I don't think so. And I have a lot of friends that play video games, and they don't seem that violent to me. I mean, I don't know what they do at night time in their own time, but in public, they seem perfectly normal. I don't know. I just don't understand how people can say playing violent video games will make you violent. I mean, okay, there's always going to be one nut job in a batch of several hundred thousand people, and there are millions of gamers around the world, so there's bound to be a handful of crazy ones. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's because of the gaming. It just means they're crazy, and the gaming is, I don't know, something that annoyed them enough to go and do what they do. But if it weren't games, it probably would have been something else. And that's another point. Like, history hasn't always had video games. Hundreds of years ago, they never had video games, but people still had wars. I'm damn well sure there were crazy people back then as well. So I don't know. Like, maybe it's just like I said. Maybe there's just people out there who were born to grow up crazy or violent, and if it weren't for video games to set them off, it would have been something else. Um, so I don't know. I just don't see why gaming gets picked on. And all right, so you play a game of Call of Duty, for example, and you get really annoyed. Just because you get annoyed at the game doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go outside and do something stupid. I get mad all the time at Call of Duty. In fact, I believe that if you don't get mad at Call of Duty, you're probably not playing it right. You're not passionate enough about the game. You get me? um, but maybe that's a completely unrelated topic. Maybe underage gaming and playing violent video games and then becoming violent. Maybe the paper's not talking about that in particular. Maybe I'm just adding that in. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read the paper, so I don't know what the specifics are. But I feel like growing up and playing video games, violent, even if it's violent video games, won't necessarily make you violent. I can't see that correlation. I don't understand it. I'm trying to understand it. I probably should read the paper. That might make me understand it. I'm not gonna read the paper. If somebody wants to give me the notes, like in summary form, bullet points, I'll probably read that. But I'm not reading the paper itself because that thing is long. I think it's like 40 pages or something. Yeah. So the point I'm making is there's a lot of violent things in the world. What what is it that makes people think, oh, that person plays violent video games, therefore, because they're violent in nature, it's because of those video games? I mean, people can get angry about anything. You hear people getting road rage and then doing stupid things because of that. People have fights in supermarkets because, I don't know, the queues are too long, or they're fighting over the last turkey at Christmas. That doesn't mean they grew up playing video games. They're just bat crazy. Yeah, so the method of research that the paper used is obviously not perfect. I mean, I don't know the process behind it, and I don't know what research they looked at. But I'm just saying, if they haven't done their own research, then how can they go out and say that the research that they've looked at is properly, is the truth, basically? I'm not saying the research they use is flawed, but I'm just saying is they should, like for their own paper to hold weight, they probably should have done their own research, carried out their own findings and whatnot. I feel like they are trying to single out gaming. Maybe they're not, but it just feels like these people are singling out gaming as something bad, and that could harm, the industry as a whole, and that's not good for us gamers. I mean, I don't play a lot of violent games. All right, I play action games, adventure games, Call of Duty, that sort of thing. Yeah, Call of Duty is mildly violent. You go around shooting people in the face, but it's not that bad. Things like Hatred, that is a violent game. I don't really like the look of that game. I'm not going to play that game. But if I did play that game, the chances are I wouldn't go outside and do the things that are portrayed in that particular game. I who hasn't gone on a massive killing spree in GTA? It's what you do. It's fun. Doesn't mean I'm going to go do that in real life, and it sure as hell isn't going to influence how I react in the future. I mean, I get road rage all the time in GTA. I'm not going to do that in real life because it's real life, and it's just that sort of thing. Like, I don't understand. How can someone say playing a game has an impact on how you as a person choose to go about your life? Maybe it's an underlying thing. Maybe they're saying if you grow up playing violent video games, something changes in your brain, and therefore you assume it's natural or normal or something like that. Maybe that's what they're trying to say. But even then, there's there's a lot of things that are violent in the world, and so why video games? Why not, why can't they say violent things in general affect you if you're exposed to it as a youngster, and then you'll grow up and you'll become violent because of those violent things that you've experienced? That's all I'm trying to say. Um, I think for the purpose of this show, I might just make it sort of not a podcast, but I don't know if I want to put any gameplay footage in the background. I kind of want this conversation to be as if we're talking to each other. So you can just listen to me, and then you can leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, and I'll read them back. So I might just leave, no gameplay in the background. So if you feel like it needs gameplay, the thing is, I don't know what to put. I don't really know what to, I can't put non-stop Call of Duty games on there because, well, I could. I have enough footage, but I just don't think I don't think that sets the right tone for the video. And then speaking of Call of Duty, I don't like Call of Duty itself isn't that violent anymore. They've watered it down a lot in recent years because they're trying to hit that lower age group, and sales, for the sales and the profits and whatnot. And I think there are other factors to playing video games that make you angry as opposed to the content itself. Like, I play Call of Duty and I don't find it that violent. Some of the scenes in the campaign, I've seen worse in previous Call of Duties. And the scenes on multiplayer, well, the scenes on multiplayer aren't, I don't think they're violent at all, to be honest. And there are things that annoy me and make me angry a lot more than the game itself. Lag, cheaters, boosters, that sort of thing. Like, that annoys me. That makes me angry. That makes me rage hard. Yeah, more than the game itself. So, are they factoring this into the equation? Because games aren't clean cut. If you're playing a single player game, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be glitches, enemies are going to cheat, your companions are going to walk across your line of fire and suicide and do stupid things like that. That makes you angry. That's not because you're playing a violent game, that's because there are stupid mechanics that aren't working properly. So are they calculating that? Are they taking those into consideration? I just like I said, I just don't see how it's clean cut that they can say violent video games equals violent person. Okay, that's a very broad statement that I'm making there. Obviously, it's not as clean cut as that, but to me, that's what it seems like they're saying. So yeah, I think I've talked for quite long enough now. I'm surprised at how long actually I managed to talk for on this topic. Like I said, I'm a gamer. I enjoy my video games, and I'm not trying to blindly defend it, but when 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 these intellects take pot shots at my hobby, um, and potentially harm my hobby, then obviously I'm gonna talk about that. So this has been the first episode of Let's Chat. Bit of a heavy discussion point, I know, but something that is, like I said, been in the spotlight recently, and I feel passionate enough to talk about it. And hopefully, you guys and girls are interested in this topic as well. We as gamers, this might affect us if this paper carries weight. I mean, at the moment, people are saying it's a bit wishy-washy, but if this paper had carried more weight with the scientific community, then gaming as we know it, the hobby that we enjoy, might have been severely changed or affected in some way. And so we should take an interest in these topics, and we should try and understand the views that they're putting across. Because what if there is a link between violence and video games? We should definitely be worried about that. So yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on this subject. Just drop some stuff in the comment section below, and I'll read them. And if we get a lot of replies, then I might just do a follow-up video and talk about the things that you guys have mentioned. But until the next topic, whatever that might be, probably something else gaming related. Take care, and if you enjoyed the video, please tap that like button. And until next time, I'll see you later.